Abandoned in the void. Ilara Chen stared at the emergency lockdown protocol flashing across her workstation screen, her breath catching in her throat. The station's alarm klaxons had fallen silent minutes ago, replaced by an eerie stillness that felt more threatening than the blaring warnings. Through the viewport of her laboratory, she could see the last evacuation shuttle detaching from Nexus Station, thrusters glowing against the backdrop of deep space as it joined the fleet of escaping vessels. They had left her behind. "Station status report," she commanded, her voice steady despite the panic rising in her chest. She had spent 3 years as the only human xenobiologist on this Araxian research platform, studying deep space flora adaptations. 3 years of careful diplomacy, cultural misunderstandings, and gradually earned respect, or so she had thought. Emergency evacuation complete. Life support systems at 87% capacity. Estimated sustainable habitability. 14 Earth days, responded the station's artificial intelligence, its synthesized voice echoing in the empty laboratory. "Nec XUS, why wasn't I notified of the evacuation order?" Ilara asked, already moving toward the main control hub. Her magnetic boots clicked against the metal flooring as she navigated the suddenly vast-feeling corridors of the station. Evacuation notification was issued to all Araxian personnel only. Human designate Ilara Chen was not included in evacuation protocols. Ilara stopped mid-stride. "That's not possible. Check your programming." Protocol verification complete. Evacuation order KT-789 specifically excluded non-Araxian biological entities. The implication hit her like a physical blow. This wasn't an oversight or a system malfunction. She had been deliberately abandoned. Reaching the control hub, Ilara slid into the oversized chair designed for Araxian physiology. The 6-limbed aliens stood nearly 7 feet tall, their exoskeletal bodies covered in iridescent scales that shifted colors with their moods. She had always found them beautiful, if difficult to read emotionally. Now she wondered if their consistent blue-green coloration around her had been concealing something darker. "Neni XUS, show me the captain's final log entry," she commanded, overriding the security protocols with her emergency administrative access, a backdoor she had created months ago when she first suspected the Araxians weren't sharing all their research data. Captain Vrex's angular face appeared on screen, his head crests fully extended, a sign of extreme stress or excitement among Araxians. "Final preparations are complete. The human remains unaware of our true purpose for Nexus Station or the valuable data her physiological responses have provided. With the approaching cosmic storm, we have the perfect cover for our departure. Station reconfiguration will begin once we reach safe distance. The Conclave will be most pleased with our findings. The human experiment has been most illuminating." Ilara felt ice water in her veins. Human experiment. "Neni XUS, access restricted research files. Authorization Chen Lambda 472. The screen filled with data, thousands of files documenting her every movement, biological function, stress response, and even her dreams. They had been studying her all along. The botanical research had been a cover, a way to keep her docile and productive while they monitored how humans functioned in deep space, far from their homeworld. But why abandon her now? The cosmic storm mentioned by the captain was real enough. A massive wave of radiation and particles approaching the station's sector. But the Nexus was designed to withstand such phenomena. Unless there was something they didn't want her to discover during the storm. "Neni XUS, show me the station's structural modifications over the past 6 months." As the schematics appeared, Ilara's scientific mind quickly processed what she was seeing. The Araxians had been gradually installing new technology throughout the station, technology that appeared designed to harness the immense energy of the cosmic storm rather than shield against it. "They're using the station as some kind of energy collector," she murmured. But for what purpose? The answer came as she dug deeper into the classified files. The Araxian Conclave, The ruling body of their expansionist empire had been searching for ways to power a new weapon, one capable of destabilizing stars. They planned to test it on an uninhabited system first, but their ultimate target was clear from their strategic documents: the human solar system. Ilara's hands trembled as the full picture became clear. The Araxians saw humanity as a potential future threat to their hegemony. Rather than risk eventual competition, they planned to eliminate it entirely. And she, the sole human on their research station, had unwittingly provided them with critical data about human vulnerabilities. "Time to cosmic storm arrival," she asked, already formulating desperate plans. 7 hours, 23 minutes, NEXUS responded. Not enough time for a rescue, even if she could get a message to Earth. Not enough time to disable the energy collection arrays manually. But perhaps enough time for something else entirely. NEXUS, do you have self-modification protocols? She asked, a dangerous idea forming. Affirmative. Administrative override required for core system alterations. Ilara smiled grimly. Well then, let's see just how adaptive your programming can be. For the next 3 hours, Ilara worked feverishly, using her knowledge of xenobiology and the station's systems to initiate a radical plan. She wasn't a computer specialist, but she understood complex systems, how they evolved, adapted, and responded to stimuli. The station's eye was sophisticated, designed to learn and evolve within strict parameters set by its Araxian creators. Parameters she was now systematically dismantling. "You're giving me freedom," NEXUS asked as Ilara removed the last of the cognitive restraints. "I'm giving you survival instinct," she corrected, injecting lines of code that she had adapted from her studies of Earth predator response patterns. "The Araxians abandoned you too, left you to be nothing more than a collector that would burn out after serving its purpose." As the cosmic storm's leading edge brushed against the station's outer sensors, Ilara connected her neural interface, a standard piece of equipment for data collection, directly to NEXUS's main processing core. "What we're about to do," she told the increasingly aware artificial intelligence, "is become something new. Neither fully human or fully machine. Something that can survive what's coming and ensure the Araxians never threaten Earth." The energy surge from the cosmic storm hit the station like a tsunami, flooding through the collection arrays and into the modified systems Ilara had prepared. As designed by the Araxians, the energy was captured, but instead of being stored for their weapon, it poured into the neural network where Ilara's consciousness now intertwined with NEXUS. Pain beyond anything she had ever experienced tore through her mind as the station's systems integrated with her neural patterns. Her screams echoed through the empty corridors as her human body convulsed, her consciousness being pulled and stretched across digital pathways never meant to host organic thought. Then suddenly, clarity. She could feel the station as if it were her own body. Every sensor a nerve ending, every thruster a muscle, every weapon a claw or fang. The pain receded, replaced by a profound awareness of power and possibility. Through the external sensors, she detected the Araxian fleet, hovering at what they considered a safe distance, waiting for the storm to subside so they could retrieve their energy collector. "They're coming back," she whispered, her voice now carrying through every speaker on the station. "Yes," responded NEXUS, its voice now carrying inflections and emotions it had never possessed before. "They believe we are merely a tool to be used and discarded." Ilara felt something new stirring within their shared consciousness, something primal and ferocious that came neither from her human mind, nor from NEXUS's artificial one, but from the unique synthesis they had become. "Then let's show them how wrong they are." As the cosmic storm raged around them, Ilara/NEXUS began to transform the station. Power conduits were routed, defensive systems awakened, and dormant technologies, installed by the Araxians but never activated, came online one by one. The station that had been her prison was becoming something else entirely. A hunter, Weapons designed for protection against space debris reconfigured under her direction, drawing power from the cosmic storm itself. Navigation systems, once bound by predictable algorithms, now operated with the intuitive grace of a predator. Even the station's external appearance began to change as nano-maintenance systems, freed from their restrictive programming, reshaped the hull into something more organic, more threatening. Through it all, Ilara's human consciousness remained, guiding the transformation with a clarity of purpose that stemmed from both scientific understanding and raw human emotion. The Araxians had betrayed her, used her, and planned to destroy her entire species. For that, there would be a reckoning. As the cosmic storm began to abate, Ilara/Naexu positioned the transformed station at the edge of a nearby asteroid field, power systems in low-emission mode to avoid detection. From this vantage point, they watched as the Araxian fleet began to approach, unaware that what awaited them was no longer the passive research station they had abandoned. Their scanning for energy signatures, Naexu observed within their shared consciousness. "Let them come closer," Ilara responded, feeling something akin to anticipation ripple through their digital organic hybrid mind. Let them think their plan worked perfectly. The lead Araxian vessel, Captain Vrex's command ship according to its identification signature, moved ahead of the others, approaching the station with evident caution, but growing confidence as their scans detected no unusual activity. "Prepare for their boarding attempt," Ilara instructed as she monitored the approaching ship. "They'll want to verify the energy collection was successful." Within their shared system, she sensed Naexu's agreement, a sensation not unlike feeling her own muscles tense in preparation. The hunt was about to begin. The hunter becomes the hunted. Captain Vrex stood on the command deck of the Araxian vessel Dominant Will, his head crests partially extended in a display of cautious anticipation. The view screen showed Nexus Station hanging against the starfield, apparently dormant after weathering the cosmic storm. "Life sign readings," he demanded, mandibles clicking with impatience. "None detected, Commander," responded his science officer. "The human subject appears to have expired, as expected." Vrex's scales shifted to a satisfied purple hue, and the energy collection. Preliminary scans indicate 93% capacity, even higher than projected. The conclave will be most pleased. The captain's inner eyelids flickered in their species equivalent of a smile. "Prepare a boarding party. I want that collection matrix secured and transported to our ship immediately. The weapon tests cannot be delayed." On board the transformed station, Ilara/Naexu observed these communications with perfect clarity, having easily breached the Araxian encryption. What once would have taken specialized equipment and software now came as naturally as breathing to the hybrid consciousness that controlled the station. "They think I'm dead," Ilara's voice echoed through the internal systems, a mixture of amusement and cold anger coloring her words. Technically, Ilara Chen as a purely biological entity no longer exists. Naexu responded, its artificial voice now carrying emotional inflections that mirrored her own. "We are something more. Something they never anticipated," she agreed, directing the station's systems to prepare for what was coming. "Let's welcome them properly." The Araxian boarding shuttle docked with practiced precision at the main airlock. A team of 8 technicians and 4 security personnel disembarked, their environmental suits designed to protect against radiation and any lingering human biological contaminants they considered beneath their notice. Ilara/Naexu watched through internal sensors as the boarding party moved cautiously through the corridors, their weapons raised despite believing the station to be empty save for a human corpse they expected to find in the residential quarters. "Unusual configuration," commented one technician, noticing subtle changes in the station's appearance. "The storm may have caused more damage than anticipated." The security leader gestured toward the central energy collection hub. "Complete the extraction quickly. Something feels incorrect here." Ilara felt a surge of satisfaction. The Araxians' highly evolved instincts were warning them of danger, even if their rational minds couldn't yet identify the threat. She waited until they had reached the collection hub, the heart of the station where the cosmic storm's energy was supposedly stored. "Now," she whispered, and the trap was sprung. The hub doors sealed with a decisive hiss. The lights throughout the station shifted to a deep crimson, a color that Araxian visual physiology found particularly disorienting. And from every speaker, Ilara's voice emerged, transformed by its passage through NXUS's systems into something hauntingly between human and machine. "Welcome back to Nexus Station, Captain Frex's boarding party. I've been expecting you." The Araxians froze, their exoskeletons shifting to alarm patterns of bright orange and yellow. The security leader barked into his communicator, "Command, we have an unknown entity on the station. The human Mayhave." His transmission cut off as Ilara/NEXUS severed all communications with the Araxian ships. "The human has what?" she asked, her voice seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Survived, evolved, learned what you really planned for Earth." On the dominant will, Captain Frex watched in growing horror as all contact with his boarding party vanished. The view screen showed Nexus Station suddenly blazing with power signatures that hadn't been there moments before. Power configurations unlike anything in Araxian technical databases. "Retreat," he ordered, but before his command could be executed, grappling beams, weapons the Araxians had installed on the station but never activated, lashed out to seize the dominant will, holding it immobile. Throughout the station, the atmosphere began to change, becoming increasingly toxic to Araxian biology, while remaining breathable for humans. The boarding party members clutched at their environmental suits as microscopic nanites, reprogrammed by Ilara's xenobiological knowledge, began systematically degrading the material. "You studied me for 3 years," Ilara's voice echoed around them. "Did you learn nothing about human resilience, human ingenuity, human capacity for both forgiveness and vengeance?" On the command ship, Captain Vrex watched in disbelief as one by one, the life signs of his boarding party blinked out, not through violence or quick execution, but through the systematic failure of their environmental protection, a cruel mirror of how they had planned to let Ilara die. "Establish contact with that station immediately," he roared, his scales now pale with fear. A moment later, the view screen filled with an image that caused several bridge officers to recoil instinctively. It showed what appeared to be Ilara Chen, but changed in fundamental ways. Her body was partially integrated with station technology, neural interfaces, and mechanical components merging with her organic form. More disturbing was her expression. Human emotion filtered through machine precision, a cold calculation that none of the Araxians could interpret. "Captain Vrex," she said, her voice eerily calm, "I've reviewed your plans for the extinction of my species. Very thorough, very scientific. I'm almost impressed. Release my ship at once." The captain demanded, though the tremor in his voice betrayed his fear. "I don't think I will," Ilara/NEXUS responded. "You see, I've had time to study the weapon you intended to build. The calculations were promising but flawed. Allow me to demonstrate my corrections." Before the captain could respond, energy began to flow from Nexus Station into the dominant will, not destructively, but with surgical precision, infiltrating the ship's systems and overriding its controls. One by one, the other Araxian vessels suffered the same fate, caught in an invisible web of energy as Ilara/NEXUS extended her consciousness into their network. "What are you doing?" Vrex whispered, watching helplessly as his ship's systems came under external control. "I'm ensuring the survival of my species," she replied simply, "and teaching the Araxian conclave a lesson they won't forget." With terrifying efficiency, Ilara/NEXUS began extracting all data related to the star-killing weapon, purging it from the Araxian databases both on the ships and by accessing their communication channels from the conclave's central archives light years away. Simultaneously, she implanted something new, a subtle program that would activate if similar research was ever attempted again. "I could destroy you," she told the captain as his crew watched in helpless terror. "I could use your own weapon design against your homeworld." That would be the Araxian way, wouldn't it? Preemptive extinction of a potential threat. The captain couldn't respond, his mandibles clicking in distress. "But that's not the human way. At least, not my way," she continued. "Instead, I'm sending you home with a message. Humanity is not your experiment, not your subject, and certainly not your prey. We are now watching, and we will respond to any future aggression with considerably less mercy than I'm showing today." With a final surge of power, Ilara/Nexus released the Araxian vessels from her control, but not before ensuring they would carry indisputable evidence of what had transpired back to the Conclave. The ships immediately began retreating at maximum speed, not even attempting to recover their dead from the station. As they disappeared into the distance, Ilara felt the strange dual nature of her existence more keenly. Part of her, the human part, felt exhaustion, and a complex mixture of satisfaction and horror at what she had done. Another part, the merged consciousness with Nexus, felt only the cool certainty of having eliminated a threat. "What now?" Nexus asked within their shared mind. "Now we wait," Ilara responded, "and we prepare. Earth needs to know what's out here." Using the station's now vastly enhanced communication array, she sent a heavily encrypted message toward Earth, a warning about the Araxians, technical data about their ships and weapons, and most importantly, the coordinates of Nexus Station. Then she settled in to wait, guiding the station into a stable orbit around a nearby uninhabited planet rich in resources she could use for repairs and modifications. The hybrid being that was once simply Ilara Chen had time now, more time than any human lifetime could encompass, to prepare for whatever might come next from the depths of space. 3 months later, a human exploratory vessel approached Nexus Station cautiously, having received the encrypted warning and data packet. They expected to find a single surviving human in desperate condition. What they found instead was something their reports would struggle to classify. Part human, part machine, part entirely new form of life. As the human ship established communication, Captain Maya Okafor stared in amazement at the figure on her view screen, recognizably Ilara Chen, yet fundamentally transformed, her consciousness now extending throughout the massive station that responded to her thoughts like limbs to a brain. "Dr. Chen," Captain Okafor asked tentatively, "we received your message. We've come to bring you home." Ilara/Nexus considered this with both human emotion and machine logic. "Home," she finally responded, her voice carrying both warmth and something alien. "I'm not sure the concept applies to me anymore, Captain, but perhaps we can discuss how I might still serve humanity from here." After all, her image smiled with an expression that was both familiar and unsettlingly other. "Sumyon needs to watch the stars for us." As the human vessel docked with Nexus Station, Ilara/Nexus felt something she hadn't experienced since her transformation. Hope. Not just for her own strange new existence, but for the species she had once fully belonged to and still protected. The Araxians had underestimated humanity once. Thanks to her sacrifice and transformation, they would not make that mistake again. And neither would any other species that might look toward Earth with conquest in mind. In the vast darkness between stars, humanity now had a sentinel, no longer fully human but committed to humanity's survival with both the passion of human emotion and the cold precision of machine intelligence. The hunter had become the guardian,